After that exciting 5-car JCW battle in the first race, the second grid of the weekend sees Luke Cordle on pole, joined up front by Chris Smith and Lawrence Davey. Shane Stoney resumes pole in the Cooper class. The engines are revving behind me, so let's go racing.
Well, this should be very entertaining. Here is how they line up then, with in pole position Luke Cordle ahead of Chris Smith. Row 2, Lawrence Davey and Chris Knox. Row 3, Neil Newstead and Simon Quinn will be hoping for a rotation 3 outing this time round. Shane Stoney once more starts from pole in the Cooper class, ahead of Ricky Page, Matt Hammond and Gideon Cresswell. Once more though, a near capacity grid as we have a look back at the warm-up lap, and Simon Quinn, he's all arms and elbows. Will he save it? Well, Alain Prost did it at Imola back in 1991. Not that's any consolation. So Quinn, a retiree before the race starts. Everybody else, though, all present and correct. As away we go. It's a good start from Luke Cordle. Also well away from the back of the JGW runners is Kevin O'Connor. As they charge towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's Cordle from Knox, and then Chris Smith. We look back from Luke Cordle at Chris Knox, who finds some space the inside of Luke Cordle, and he may just squeeze through here, you know, as the rest of the pack climb the hill towards Druids, and that angle really gives an indication of just how steep it is. So Knox through into the lead, down into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Already Chris Knox busy defending from Luke Cordle as behind, drama, and into the barrier. That is Chris Stoney, I believe, and Shane Stoney also has an incident on the first lap that didn't appear to be of his making. It was across the grass, bodywork flying. Chris Knox, he's pushing very hard on cold tyres as Chris Stoney fortunately walks away. That was a heavy impact. Back to the race leader, Chris Knox. He has got Luke Cordle, then a slight gap back to Chris Smith and a fast starting Hamish Brandon. We get on to Neil Newstead, right blue car, Lawrence Davey up to Druids. Now don't forget, got the car of Chris Stoney on the exit. There it is. I suspect we may well be seeing a safety car here, because that car is in a very exposed position. As ever, the Cooper class runners in the thick of the action early on, and yes, a waved yellow flag, the back of your shot. The instant unit on track could only mean that the safety car is out for the recovery of Chris Stoney's car. So the field cooling down. Let's have another look at it, and Stoney really just squeezed to the outside, and absolutely nothing he could do. It was William Phillips who made the decisive contact. And they do build these cars strong, the Power Max Mini Challenge, and Chris Stoney walks away. Shane Stoney also, through no fault of his own, he gets tipped sideways, and Ricky Page has nowhere to go but the grass. As ever, the Brands Hatch Marshals doing a formidable job. So we're about to go racing once more here at Brands Hatch at the Mini Festival, and it's Chris Knox who leads them through into Paddock Hill Bend. Then it's Cordle, Smith and Brandon. It's still looking a little bit treacherous, isn't it? The drivers just hunting for the grip as their friendly tyres cool down behind the safety car. Through Druids they go. Just squeeze to the outside there. Neil Newstead, but he might be able to withstand the pressure of Lawrence Davey. Indeed he does. Although Davey, left with nowhere to go, runs across the grass, loses out as well to Kevin O'Connor and possibly one or two others to follow through. The leading group of cars through Surtees on towards Clearways, and Chris Knox just trying to make good his escape from Luke Cordle and Chris Smith. But Cordle, we know, is a driver who can drive across the gap here, because in the Power Max Mini Challenge, as with the Old Star Minis, slipstream is king, and no more so here than at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, where you follow in the tow along the Bradley Straight and then do what you dare through Paddock Hill Bend before climbing uphill now into the right-hand hairpin at Druids. Leading quintet, because Neil Newstead has joined them there or thereabouts. Meanwhile, back to the Cooper class, it's Gideon Cresswell who is at the head of the queue, although I think Matt Hammond's escaped from it. And then we've got William Phillips who's next along. Yes, there's Matt Hammond, who's got a nice advantage over Gideon Cresswell. Shane Stoney recovering. He's in the middle of this squabble. He's looking to try and place himself past Simon Walton. Through Druids. He's going to have the inside line though for Graham Hill Bend. William Phillips and Gideon Cresswell meanwhile doing battle. Phillips in the slipstream behind Cresswell as they sprint along towards Surtees. All the while though, they have got the car of Matt Hammond that they're chasing down. Returning to the battle for JCW honours, and it's Chris Knox who remains at the 4, but Luke Cordle, you can see, 10th by 10, lap on lap, is closing the gap back down. Well, Steve Cocker, once more, unfortunately in and amongst the wars after the retirement in the first race of the weekend. He's got damage trailing, and therefore he's being chased down by the Cooper class leader, Matt Hammond. Now this isn't what Matt Hammond would have wanted, because when you're out front, sometimes you just want a clear track. You don't want the distraction of a JCW class car, which is going to be, by dint of its damage, slower through the corners and then quicker on the straights. I just wonder if that's providing a little bit of distraction for Hammond. That coupled with the slipstream effect means that Gideon Cresswell, with William Phillips pushing along, coming to join in the party. Then it's a gap back to Shane Stoney. William Phillips having a dramatic race already. He's now in with a good shout of being on the podium. Already for the first time this year, Shane Stoney is at risk of not being on the rostrum. He's a long way back now in his battle for third, and the beauty of slipstreaming in minis is that when you're running together, you can begin to pull a gap. The difficulty is if you're like Shane Stoney and out on your own, you can see the group of cars in front as they work, just beginning to ease off into the distance, and that is going to be Stoney's concern. Back in car, Neil Newstead behind Hamish Brandon. This the fight for 4th and 5th position. The red car of Hamish Brandon sweeps into clearways, puts the wheel over the curb, bounces up onto 3 wheels. What can Neil Newstead and the black and green machine do? Using the slipstream along the Bramham Straight, past the pit boards, being hung out, and then into the braking zone for Paddock Hill Bend. Newstead contemplates a dart to the inside, realises there's not quite enough space. As all the while, 2011 champion Chris Knox leading the way from Luke Cordle. Neil Newstead now decides maybe he can make the move for 4th, and Hamish Brandon was late to cover that line. Finally, Brandon covers it. Meanwhile, back to the Cooper class, and it's a brilliant 3-way scrap as the lead changes. Gideon Cresswell darting to the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. Wasn't an awful lot Matt Hammond could do about it. Instead, Hammond looks to fight back into Druids. Half a car's width, no more than that, and therefore Hammond can't squeeze through. Instead, he's at real risk here of being demoted by William Phillips, who looks to one side then the other through Graham Hill Bend onto the very short sprint along Cooper Straight. Now we're getting to that phase of the race where the leaders of the race overall in the JCW class are going to start catching the Cooper class front runners as they go either side of the back marker. The battle for 4th is going to change. Neil Newstead has the line for Druids, and there is nothing that Hamish Brandon can do about that. To Graham Hill Bend though, it's Brandon who takes his turn to follow Neil Newstead. That was alert driving from Newstead as we go side by side in the battle for the lead in the Cooper class, almost swapping wing mirrors then William Phillips and Gideon Cresswell. And all these drivers, they are so well versed in the performance of their machinery, they really know exactly the limits. Ricky Page charges through Paddock Hill Bend. He's got this battle for the top 3 positions. Looming large in his tail, we're in car with Luke Cordle in 2nd place, looking back at Chris Smith, number 100 in 3rd. Change of livery for Smith this season because going back for the past few years, he's always raced in the black and orange car. This time he's all black as they dart to the inside of Shane Stoney, demote Stoney. Although Chris Smith gets hung out to dry, he can't squeeze past Stoney, and that releases Luke Cordle now to really put the pressure onto Chris Knox. They've got the Gideon Cresswell, William Phillips battle just ahead of them. Matt Hammond moves smartly aside. And it's something that's always emphasised in the driver's briefing in the Power Max Mini Challenge is all the Cooper class drivers don't try and interrupt the battle from the JCW runners, just stick to your line or move out of the way where it's safe to do so. And they'll find a way around you, and it means that we very rarely see races interrupted by lappery, as has been the case here. The leading trio are as close as they were before they encountered those cars. Though Luke Cordle, who's ruthless through traffic, is taking the opportunity to get another car length closer as Joe Polly gets it all wrong. Exiting Paddock Hill Bend and bang into the tyre wall. And that's a big accident for Polly. And Matt Hammond doing something not dissimilar a few moments before that. As sprinting to the checkered flag, Chris Knox just takes the win from Luke Cordle, who edges out Chris Smith by 35 thousandths of a second. Neil Newstead home in 4th, and it is Gideon Cresswell who takes victory in the Cooper class after a fine, spirited performance. So the drivers acknowledging the applause of the crowd. We'll take a look at the results, with victory for Knox, second place for Luke Caudle. Chris Smith completes the podium ahead of Neil Newstead and Hamish Brandon, with Lawrence Davey a comparatively muted 6th ahead of Chris Russell. Into the Cooper class, Canute Cresswell victorious ahead of Matt Hammond and William Phillips. Shane Stoney in 4th from the recovering Ricky Page.
So that new car's doing very well for you, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit now. This is my 3rd visit to the podium, so I've had a 3rd, a 2nd and a 1st now, so I'm really happy, yeah.
That win was for the Accelerate team. The guys, obviously, they've worked really hard, Steve, Danny, Andy and the boys. But yeah, the shop play car, we've got Rivervale Leasing on board this weekend, SL Group Management, and I got my head down from the start, got the lead into Druids, had a bit of a moment on lap 1 which lost the front splitter, so the car was a bit of a handful, but hopefully I think we bagged fastest lap as well.
Shane, things seem to go wrong very early on for you in that race.
Yeah, we just got really unlucky. JCW got into a bit of a slide, and I had nowhere to go. I hit the JCW, then Ricky behind me had nowhere to go either, so he hit the side of me. We were both pretty lucky not to sort of end up in the Armco on the outside and inside. So, you know, to even finish the race was probably an achievement.
Since the podium, we've learnt that car number 17, William Phillips, has been excluded from the results. That means that Matt Hammond moves up to 2nd place and Shane Stoney secures 3rd. Can he improve on that? We'll find out in race 3 after the break.